one war they all wanted to talk about, the Great War. Europe had been ensnared to break it back into serious realities pre-war, as evidenced by, first of all, the complex alliance system formation, relations ranging from casual friendship, like the Germans and the Ottomans, to staunch allies. Your guess is as good as mine. And of course, bitterest foes, like Austria-Hungary and the Serbs. Some were deemed bulwarks, the European parents, especially Britain and Russia and Germany. Mother Britain would protect Belgium, who had declared her neutrality in European affairs. Mama Russia as a fender for Serbia and the Slavic world, while Austrians wouldn't miss the Shrek assurances of emancipation by Papa Germany, probably due to the rich cultural ties common to all, and this putting everyone in an event of armed conflict, drawing everyone into the pot. Driven by their own imperialistic ideologies as they controlled resources and colonies around the globe, tensions and conflicts arising from the quest to expand, influence, or dominate would be inevitable. Though significant family ties between great powers, like the cousin relationship Kaiser William II shared with King George V and Tsar Nicholas II, becoming part of the family as he got married to Alexandria, who was related to both Emperor Kaiser and King George. But it will later be proven that power goes beyond blood relations to psychogenic individualism, as each sought to promote his or her own national interest. Finally, the build-up of military and their industrial complexes, which created another wave of paranoia. Assuming neighbors started to mobilize troops, build jets and tanks, the next question follows. What for? Self-defense? Then I better protect myself, since we live in a world of opposites. Probably one night's thought for all defensive weapons to be turned into offensive ones. All these and others precipitated into the day of accountability, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the throne of Austria-Hungary, by Gavrilo Princip, a member of the Serbian nationalist group called Black Hand in Sarajevo, capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina, on the 28th of June 1914, leading to a war declaration on Serbia on the 28th of July and an Allied counter-declaration on the 4th of August. Despite the extemporized events, I believe there would certainly be particular morale or specific morale for these individual countries that entered the war. First of all, let's talk about Germany, responding to the triple entente of Russia, Britain and France, and coupled with self-ambitions of expanding overseas territories and having control of European resources. Germany will have this opportunity to actually launch a counter-offensive or a counter-attack on the Allies. Austria-Hungary. The assassination of a very great empire's prince was no less a great humiliation, and as such, needed to be met with the strongest response of declaring war on Russia, France and Serbia, as well as the ambition of protecting annexed Bosnia and Herzegovina in 1908, and to further dominate the Balkans. The Balkans consist of some roughly about 11 countries. We are talking of countries like Russia, Romania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Greece, Bulgaria, Albania, Macedonia, Serbia, Slovenia, and even some westernmost parts of Turkey. The Balkan Peninsula is a geographical area located in the southeastern part of Europe, with various geohistorical definitions, as it derives its name from the Balkan Mountains that spans Bulgaria. It is bordered by the Adriatic Sea to the northwest, the Ionian Sea to its southwest, the Aegean Sea in the south, the Black Sea to the northeast, and the Turkish Strait to the east. It has its highest point called Musala, about 2,925 meters, located in the Rila mountain range, Bulgaria. Bulgaria also having territorial ambitions to regain territories it lost due to the Balkan Wars of 1912 to 1913 to Serbia, Greece and Romania. As in, on September 6, 1915, Bulgaria signed a secret treaty to commit itself to entering the war on the side of the Central Powers, the Treaty of Bucharest, also signed on the side of Germany and Austria-Hungary with assurances of financial and military support, but they had previously signed the Treaty of Sofia on 6th of August 1915, a military alliance with Germany, probably an avenue to unite all Slavic people under the leadership of Bulgaria. Slavic leadership and the Slavic country, as I talk about, consists of roughly about 8 countries. We have Belarus, Ukraine, Russia, Poland, Slovenia, Slovakia, Serbia, and Czech Republic. The Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire also signed to commit itself on August 2nd, 1914 for Germany and Austria-Hungary to support against enemies like Britain and Russia. and also gaining territories that was lost due to the Balkan Wars. Britain had pledged to protect Belgium, a neutral country then. So when the Germans invaded Belgium on the 4th of August 1914, it triggered Britain's entry. Britain was also concerned about protecting its naval supremacy, colonies, and also trade routes. France, on the other hand, was to defend its borders against German aggression. France would also be privileged to regain territory that was lost to Germany in the Franco-Prussian War of 1870 to 1871. That's territories like Alsace and Lorraine. Japan was also involved, declaring war on Germany on the 23rd of August 1914, an ally of the Triple Entente. It subsequently sent forces to Eastern Pacific Asian theaters, and also the Battle of Qingdao in eastern China from the 1st to the 7th of November 1914 in the Shandong Peninsula. The battle resulted in the capture and siege of the city by Japan and allies, as well as the German control port of Qingdao, and also Japan was able to provide material and financial assistance to allies, and that was the major allied victory. That's the Japanese support was the major allied victory in World War I. Now, Serbia was also opposed to Austria-Hungarian influence. Annexing Bosnia and Herzegovina wouldn't be nice to the Serbians, and as such, they appealed to Russia, its defensive partner. After Serbia, war was declared upon Serbia by Austria-Hungary. For support, Russia was also able to mobilize its army in the defense of Serbia, which made the Central Powers to declare war on Russia on August 1st, 1914. Italy entered the war on 24th of May 1915 on the side of the Allied powers due to territorial ambitions, evidenced by the Secret Treaty of London that was signed on the 26th of April 1915 by UK, France, and Russia. A very secret protocol, and also with the hope of the Triple Entente getting Romania and Bulgaria on board, but was to no avail. Finally, the last of the Allied powers to join, the United States of America. America joined the war on the side of Allies after 3 years of pseudo-neutrality, the 6th of April 1917, probably due to some of these following reasons. First of all, the disruption of its economic interests in the trade of food, raw materials, and munitions to allies. Also, the Germans had launched this unrestricted submarine warfare, which meant that they would sink any ship that was believed to be carrying materials, including American ships, which resulted in the sinking of many American ships, including America's famous Lusitania on the 7th of May 1915. We can also talk of the interception of Arthur Zimmermann's telegram to the German embassy in Mexico on the 16th of January 1917. A very secret message proposing a military alliance of Mexico and the Central Powers against the United States in exchange for territories that was lost due to the Mexican-American War of 1846 to 1848, which builded public support for America's entry. And most certainly, the American idea, a moral obligation to promote democracy and protect human rights around the world. Eventually, Bulgaria surrendered on the 29th of September, Ottoman on the 30th of October, Austria-Hungary on the 3rd of November, and Germany on the 11th of November, all in 1918, when German officials signed the armistice with allies. And the casualties, some estimates: Russia 9 million casualties, including 1.7 million dead and 4.9 million wounded. Austria-Hungary 7.5 million casualties, including 1.8 million dead and 4.2 million injured. France about 6.1 million casualties, including 1.3 million dead and 4.2 million injured. You can also talk of the Ottoman Empire, about 4.2 million casualties, including 1.1 million dead and 2.8 million injured. Britain 3.1 million casualties, including 887,000 dead and 2 million injured. Italy 2.2 million casualties, including 460,000 dead and 947,000 injured. Serbia about 1.2 million casualties, including 275,000 dead and 625,000 injured. And the United States of America, the least, 320,000 casualties, including 116,000 dead and 204,000 injured, with a total number of estimated casualties to be 37 million. And of course, these may not be the actuals. The aftermath of the armistice, the signing of the Treaty of Versailles in the House of Mirrors in the Palace of Versailles near Paris, represented by allies and Germany in the presence of US President Woodrow Wilson and Secretary of State Robert Lansing, UK Prime Minister David Lloyd George and Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour, France Prime Minister Georges Clemenceau and Foreign Minister Stephen Picon, Italian Prime Minister Vittorio Emanuele Orlando and Foreign Minister Sidney Sonino, Japanese Ambassador Baron Makino Nobuaki, Belgian Foreign Minister Paul Heymans, Czechoslovakian President Thomas Garrick Masaryk and Foreign Minister Edvard Benitez, Christian Prime Minister Eleftherios Venizelos, Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Maria da Silva and Foreign Minister Antonio Luis Gomes, Polish Prime Minister Ignacy Jan Federowicz and his Foreign Minister Roman Dmowski. We can also talk of Romanian Prime Minister Ion Ionel Constantin Bratianu and his Foreign Minister Alexandru Vaida-Voivod. We can also talk of Serbian Prime Minister Nikola Pasic and Foreign Minister Milenko Vesnic, Chinese Ministers Lu Zhenjian and Minister Wellington Koo. We can also talk of the German delegation that was led by Foreign Minister Hermann Müller. You realize Russian representatives were not mentioned? Yes, they were neither present nor invited due to their withdrawal from the war after the revolution that was led by protesters and later the Bolsheviks from 8th of March to the 16th of June 1917 under Vladimir Lenin, who signed the peace treaty with Germany on the 3rd of March 1918 called the Brest-Litovsk Treaty, and other Central Powers who were made to recognize the independence of Ukraine, Georgia, Finland, as well as ceding significant territories to Central Powers. A very and highly controversial treaty which led many opposition, even by home people, as they say. Finally, ratified on the 28th of June 1919, the Versailles Treaty imposed harsh conditions on Central Powers, starting with Germany. Germany was to accept war guilt and the payment of reparations to allies for the damage caused, also reduction of its military size, naval capabilities, and also demobilization of its army. We can also talk of the loss of territories like Alsace-Lorraine to France. We also have demilitarization of the Rhine. The Rhine is one of the major European rivers, which begins in the Swiss of Canton division of Graubünden in the southeastern Swiss Alps. It forms part of the Swiss borders that it shares with countries like Germany, Austria, Liechtenstein, and it also passes through Germany and France, and after which it flows predominantly in the westerly direction in Germany into Netherlands and empties finally into the North Sea. We can also talk of Saarland, which was placed under French control. It was an industrial hub too, as well as Danzig, which now is called Gdansk, which was home to significant German-speaking population, and it was established as a free city under the protection of the League of Nations, and it is now located in Poland. Parts of East and West Prussia, including Posen, all was ceded to Poland. We can also talk of the trial of war criminals. That was the Leipzig War Crimes Trial, held from 1921 to 1922 by the German government. They were able to convict some leaders like General Fritz von Lübeck, who was convicted of using poisonous gas on battlefield, 4 years sentence, but served 6 months due to poor health. We can also talk of General George von der Maurits, who was convicted of executing Belgian civilians, 6 years imprisonment, but served 3 years. We can also talk of Admiral von Reuter, who was convicted of scuttling German high sea fleets in defiance of the Treaty of Versailles. He was to serve 18 months, but was released few months. General Erich Ludendorff, who was tried in his absence and convicted of war crimes and charged with treason in the German defeat of World War I, but fled to Sweden and was never extradited. We can also talk of General Paul von Hindenburg, the commander-in-chief of army that was the latter half of the war, was accused of atrocity but was never prosecuted. He only retired from public life. The German President Theobald von Bethmann-Hollweg, who retired after a brief imprisonment in 1919 by Allied powers and was released due to poor health in 1921, he published a book which was called Reflections on the World War, where he actually told allies they unfairly treated Germany to the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire ceded most territories to allies. It was dissolved anyway. It ceded territories in the Middle East and paid huge reparations. One of its interior minister, Talat Pasha, was accused of the Armenian genocide but was assassinated on the 15th of March 1921, even before final prosecution in Berlin by an Armenian nationalist called Sogomon Tehlirian. Austria-Hungary was dissolved and its territories was also shared among Victoria's Allied powers, and it was required to also pay huge reparations, just as the other Central Powers did. After the Treaty of Neuilly, signed on the 27th of November 1919, Bulgaria ceded territories including parts of western and southern territories to Yugoslavia and parts of its southern territories to Greece and also paid reparations. After the demilitarization of the Rhine, Hitler remilitarized in 1936 in violation of the Treaty of Versailles, as he saw this as a humiliation to Germany because the Rhine was actually a buffer zone between Germany and France. There is one word I wanted all of them to hear. It's been no secret the weakness of the nations is the pride of the nations. You can relate a point in time where the Roman Empire had it all and utilized it ruthlessly, only for it to meet its tragic end on the 15th of February 1798, when Pius VI was deposed by General Bastille. Also, the empire on which the sun never sets, Great Britain, controlling about 30% of the world's landmass and 25% of the world's population by 1939. What happened to it? Lost all these glories to the extent that colonies have now become strategic, indispensable partners. Yeah, that's how glories do fade and power diminish. I pray and hope that the United States and Russia have watched this closely. Well, on the 24th of April 2023, the one Sweden institute called the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute published a new data on global military spending. The total global military expenditure increased by 3.7% in real terms in 2022 to reach a record high of about 2,240 billion US dollars. Military expenditure in Europe saw its steepest year-upon-year increase in at least 30 years, and the three largest spenders in 2022, the United States, China, and Russia, accounted for 56% of the world's total. And what does it mean? Enslaving ourselves to the defense companies, who reap immense profits, retreat however crisis. Not even to talk about COVID or the Ukraine war, or whether beneficiary. It seems President Isinyawa's speech, which was made in his farewell address, and I quote, "In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and persists, has been unheeded by his own countrymen, because in reality, they also have political influence. Maybe we should be girding up our loins for an armed industry coup around the world. After having the best meals in smaller corporations, we tend to chew the cud at the United Nations. It is no secret that smaller corporations like NATO, BRICS, the G7, the SCO, the League of Arab Nations, AUKUS, QUAD, and even OPEC Plus are more effective, powerful, and enforcing than the United Nations, not even its Security Council. The UN have been equivocal since the 25th of April 1945, but now it is getting to its grave. Similar elements of World War I's embouchures are those sweeping us away in the current crisis. We may not have Archduke Franz Ferdinand assassinated to light up the flames of World War III, but more certainly a unipolaristic and intolerable policymakers to teleport us some 4,000 years backward, a tour to Sodom and Gomorrah. Don't worry, policymakers, one word has some form of help to offer. Thank you and give glory to God.